The storm raged across the blackened sky, lightning carving scars of fire across the horizon. As Elara said, "You cannot let them take you." Her voice trembled, raw with fear, her hands clinging to Kael's cloak. Kael said, "It is the only way to keep you alive," though his eyes betrayed the weight of the choice. The wind tore at them, their bodies silhouetted against a fortress crumbling under magical fire. Elara's tears mixed with rain as she whispered, "I would rather burn than watch you walk into his grasp." The ground quaked, shadows rising like serpents under the command of Lord Malrik, his laughter slicing through the storm. From the battlements the Mentor cried out, "Fate demands sacrifice, but destiny is still yours to choose." The storm surged harder, nearly drowning his words. Kael pressed his forehead to Elara's, his breath ragged, his voice breaking as he said, "I made a pact that binds my soul, but for you, I would break even the heavens." Elara clutched his hand as if the act alone could defy destiny. Magic exploded in violent arcs, forcing the sidekick Lyra to shield her eyes, her trembling voice calling, "We must run, or none of us will live to see dawn." Elara said, "If we run, we abandon love. If we stay, we surrender life. Tell me, Kael, what is worth more?" The storm answered with fire. The storm softened into a grim drizzle, though the smell of ash clung to the ruins. Elara whispered, "The pact is a chain on your soul, Kael." He touched her cheek, silent, eyes shadowed with secrets. Lyra muttered, "Chains or not, we're running out of time," glancing back at collapsing walls. Arik stepped closer, his staff dimming as he said, "The pact cannot be broken without blood. To break it means death or worse." Elara shook, anger mingling with sorrow. "Then what is love worth if it is bound by death?" Kael's voice was low. "It is worth everything, even if it destroys me." Lyra's face paled, her voice barely a whisper. "If he dies, then so do we." Malrik's laughter lingered in the distance, like a scar across the night. Elara touched the cracked stone, her hands trembling as memories of warmth haunted her. She said, "This place was once safe, once ours." Kael turned from her, jaw clenched. Lyra muttered, "Safety was always an illusion." Eric's voice broke. "Illusion or not, hope once lived here, and hope is what keeps us standing." Elara stepped closer to Kael, eyes burning with unspoken words. He whispered, "Every step forward feels like betrayal, but standing still is death." The air was heavy with grief, every silence louder than thunder. Arik placed a trembling hand on Kael's shoulder and said, "The Forbidden Pact ties you not only to Malrik, but to destiny itself." Kael's face hardened. "Then I will tear destiny apart." Elara clutched her chest, her voice breaking. "You cannot fight destiny without losing yourself." Lyra shook her head, muttering, "Destiny already lost itself in this war." The ruins groaned, echoing their despair, as shadows stretched like waiting predators. Elara stepped into Kael's path, forcing him to stop. Her voice shook. "If you walk toward him, I will follow." Kael's lips trembled before he said, "If you follow, you will die." She raised her chin, defiant, "Then let death take us both." Arik whispered, "Love is a sword sharper than any blade." Lyra's eyes welled, her small voice adding, "And sharper still when it cuts your own heart." Thunder rumbled again, and in its echo, the pack's chains tightened invisibly around them. The night forest loomed around them, branches clawing at the sky as if echoing their fear. Elara whispered, "I cannot trust shadows, Kael, not when they carry his laughter." Kael's voice was steady, though his eyes flickered with doubt. "Then trust me, even when the pact chains me." Lyra muttered, "Trust is fragile, like glass in fire." Arik raised his staff, its glow cutting the dark. Glass can shatter, but it can also reflect truth. Elara touched Kael's arm, her voice breaking, "If your soul is bound, then my heart is too." Kael's jaw clenched as he replied, "Then both hearts must survive, or both will fall." Lyra exhaled sharply, "I never asked to die in a love story." Arik said, "Yet you are in one, and stories are crueler than fate." The forest groaned under a haunting wind, and every shadow seemed alive with the weight of choices yet to be made. Elara's gaze softened as Kael drew closer, his hand hovering at her cheek, but never touching. He whispered, "The world wants us broken, but I cannot let it." Her breath trembled. "Then do not keep walls between us." Lyra coughed loudly. "If you two finish your poetry, perhaps we should survive first." Eric's eyes narrowed, his voice grave. "Survival is bound to choices of the heart as much as to the sword." Elara looked at Kael, her eyes shimmering. "Then choose me, even against destiny." Kael's lips parted, voice raw. "I already have, though destiny listens with a cruel ear." Lyra sighed. "I did not follow you into this war to be drowned in riddles." The forest's silence pressed on them, heavy with secrets unspoken and love rising like a forbidden flame. The clearing glowed faintly, with ancient runes etched into stone. Eric said, "Here, truth cannot hide, even from itself." Elara stepped forward, light reflecting on her face, and whispered, "I fear truth more than lies." Kael joined her, his hand brushing hers. "And I fear losing you more than death." Lyra muttered, "I fear being the only sane one among cursed lovers." Eric's staff glowed brighter, his tone heavy. "Magic reveals what hearts conceal." Elara looked at Kael, trembling. "Then may it reveal your heart bound to mine." Kael's chest heaved, his voice raw. "It already is, though chains still bleed inside me." Lyra shook her head, whispering, "Chains break, but scars remain." The runes pulsed, casting shadows that twisted like ghosts, their glow whispering promises and warnings alike. A hollow cave swallowed them, its walls dripping with water, echoes carrying like whispers of the dead. Lyra shivered. "This place feels like bones." Eric said, "It is where destinies are carved, not bones broken." Elara's voice rose. "Destiny carved mine in blood." Kael caught her hand, his grip firm. "Then let me rewrite it." She whispered, "You cannot rewrite what is written by gods." His reply was iron. "Then let me defy gods themselves." Lyra rolled her eyes, muttering, "Defy gods, betray villains, love eternally. Must we add surviving caves to this list?" Eric raised his staff, light spilling across carvings, his face pale. He murmured, "The Pact's mark lives here. Every step forward is a step toward the end." The cave groaned like a heartbeat in stone, sealing their fears. They reached the riverbank under the shivering stars, water black as ink. Elara stared at her reflection, whispering, "I no longer know if I see myself or the Pact's prisoner." Kael knelt beside her, his voice steady but raw. "You see the one I would die to protect." Lyra hugged herself, muttering, "Protect her, save the world, fight the villain. It always comes back to you, doesn't it?" Eric lowered himself slowly, his words carrying weight. "Every river remembers the blood spilled upon its banks, and this one knows too much." Elara pressed her hand into Kael's, eyes fierce. "Then let us stain it with love, not blood." Kael closed his eyes, whispering, "May love hold longer than chains." The river rippled, reflecting their fragile unity, fragile hope shimmering against darkness. The ruined meadow stretched wide beneath a bruised sky, its grass burned to black ash. Lord Malrik appeared at the far ridge, his crimson robes flaring in the cold wind. Elara's breath caught. "He hunts us even here." Kael drew his sword, the runes glowing faintly blue, and muttered, "He will never stop until one of us is broken." Lyra muttered, voice sharp with fear, "Then we should stop waiting to be prey and fight like wolves." Eric raised his staff, his tone grave. "To face him here is to dance with death unprepared." Elara shook, her voice breaking, "Prepared or not, we cannot keep running." Kael turned to her, eyes dark. "I will not let him take you. The pact binds me, but love drives me." Malrik's laughter echoed across the barren field, carried by the storm clouds. His voice rose, "Come, children of fate, let me carve truth into your fragile hearts." The air thickened with shadow, the first strike of war unfolding before them. Eric stepped forward, staff blazing brighter, his voice booming. "Malrik's power comes not from strength but from the lies he chains to truth." Elara asked, trembling, Then how do we fight lies made flesh? Kael answered grimly, with a truth strong enough to burn. Malrik's eyes gleamed, his hand rising, shadows curling like serpents from his fingers. Elara gasped. That doesn't look like lies. It looks like nightmares. Eric snarled. Nightmares feed on fear. Do not give him yours. Elara clutched Kael's arm, whispering, Then hold me steady, for fear is all I feel. Kael's jaw set. Then I will carry it until you feel only fire. Malrik's laughter cracked through the sky like thunder as the ground split beneath them, shadow fire spilling upward. Elara stood at the battlefield's heart, runes glowing beneath her feet, her voice trembling. It feels alive, like it knows me. Eric said, Because it does. The earth remembers the pact. Kael rushed to her, his hand steadying hers. Then we will make it remember love instead of chains. Malrik sneered, his tone sharp as a blade. Love is the weakest of weapons. It breaks before it strikes. Elara's tears mixed with dirt as she whispered, Yet love is all I have left to give. Elara stepped closer, her voice fierce despite shaking hands, and sometimes that is enough to defy gods. Eric raised his staff high, calling, Then let love be your sword and my light your shield. Shadows surged again, but the glow beneath Elara's feet flared, fighting back. Elara laughed bitterly as she swung her dagger at a shadow beast lunging from the ground. I always wanted to be important, but not like this. Elara cried out, Then fight because you are more than the shadows say you are. Kael cut through a serpent of darkness, shouting, Every strike we make weakens him. Eric bellowed, Stay together, for unity is strength. Malrik's voice thundered, Unity is weakness dressed as hope. Elara screamed as claws grazed her arm, but she stood, blood staining her sleeve. She growled, Weakness feels a lot like survival right now. Elara ran to her, pressing hands to her wound, whispering, Survival is the seed of victory. Kael's eyes flicked to them, voice heavy, Then let us plant it before it's too late. As the battle raged, Malrik raised both arms, the ground trembling violently. He shouted, The pact is not yours to break. It belongs to me. Elara screamed, No chain belongs to you, only to those who choose it. Kael forced his way forward, sword glowing brighter. Then I choose to break it, even if it takes my life. Eric's face paled, his voice urgent, Breaking it now will end you, Kael. Elara cried, Then don't let him. But Kael's eyes burned, his voice thundered, Better to end in love than live in chains. Shadows exploded outward, crashing into light from Elara and Eric's combined force. The battlefield shook, the clash echoing like worlds colliding, and in its heart stood love and defiance against doom. The battlefield smoke drifted toward the broken woods, where silence fell heavier than the storm. Elara's eyes locked on Kael as she whispered, You hide something from me. Kael's shoulders stiffened, his voice low, Not all truths can protect you. Eric's face darkened. He speaks of the blood price hidden in the pact. Elara's eyes widened. Blood price. Since when was dying not enough? Kael turned, his hand trembling on his sword hilt, because the pact is not mine alone. It binds me to a lineage drowned in shadows. Elara stepped closer, tears hot against her cheeks. Then every lie between us cuts deeper than any blade. Kael flinched, voice cracking. I hid it because love was my only mercy left. Eric's voice thundered. Mercy without truth becomes poison. Elara muttered, and we are all choking on it now. The wind hissed through shattered trees as betrayal pressed between them, heavier than chains. The air froze as a shadowed figure stepped from the tree line. Dorian, the fallen hero once sworn to their cause. His eyes glowed faintly red, his voice hollow. Did you miss me, Kael? Elara gasped. Dorian, no, it cannot be you. Kael's jaw tightened, rage and grief warring. You were supposed to be dead. Dorian sneered. Death is but a door Malrik opened for me. Lyra's voice cracked. You were our shield. How could you bend to him? Dorian's tone carried sorrow. I bent not for power, but for love long denied. His gaze cut toward Elara, sharp as steel. She stepped back, trembling. You loved me? Kael roared. Do not taint her with your chains. Eric's voice thundered. His love was broken long before Malrik's touch. Dorian smirked. Broken or not, it binds tighter than any oath. Kael stepped toward Dorian, voice sharp as steel. Your betrayal carved more graves than Malrik's blade ever could. Dorian's laugh was bitter. And still, you loved her while I bled for shadows. Elara's heart wrenched. You were my friend, my brother in arms. Why twist that bond into this? Dorian's eyes burned. Because I was never your brother. I was the ghost who loved you too late. Lyra shouted, You're nothing but Malrik's puppet. Dorian's voice broke. Then let this puppet choose his stage. He lunged at Kael, blades clashing like thunder. Sparks flew as Kael snarled. If you loved her, you would protect her. Elara screamed, Stop! This love you claim is only another chain. Eric's voice rang deep. Chains born of love, cut the deepest. The clash echoed, tearing trust asunder. The clash ended with Kael's blade pressed against Dorian's throat, both men gasping. Elara cried, Kael, don't! Killing him makes you no better. Kael's eyes burned with pain. He betrayed everything we fought for. Dorian whispered, Strike me, and she will never forgive you. Lyra shouted, He's manipulating you. Eric raised his staff, voice steady. Mercy is not weakness, but mercy without wisdom destroys kingdoms. Kael trembled, blade quivering as Elara placed her hand on his arm, whispering, Do not let him chain you through hate. Kael's sword lowered slowly, but Dorian smirked bitterly. Mercy? You will regret sparing me. Shadows swallowed him as he vanished into the trees, leaving silence broken only by Elara's tears. The forest seemed to sigh as silence reclaimed it. Elara whispered, Every secret widens the rift between us. Kael bowed his head. Secrets kept you safe, or so I thought. Eric leaned heavily on his staff. Safety without truth is a lie built on sand. Lyra muttered, and sand always collapses in the storm. Elara's hands trembled as she touched Kael's chest. If you keep hiding, love will wither into dust. His voice cracked. I fear the truth will destroy you. She whispered fiercely. It is not truth that destroys, it is silence. Kael's eyes brimmed with regret, his whisper breaking. Then I will bear no more silence. The wind rustled the leaves like whispers of fate, reminding them that the pact was unraveling, thread by painful thread. The night bled into crimson twilight as the shapeshifter emerged from the fog, their form flickering between faces once loved and voices once trusted. Elara gasped, You wear my brother's face. Why? The shapeshifter smirked, because truth is a mask too fragile to keep. Kael growled, stepping forward with sword raised. Name yourself, deceiver. The figure replied, I am everyone you trusted, and everyone you will betray. Lyra's hand shook on her dagger, whispering, I cannot even tell if you are me. Eric's voice thundered, This is the one who feeds on doubt. Do not give them your fear. Elara shouted, Then tell us why you haunt us now. The shapeshifter laughed, a sound that twisted into Elara's own voice, because every pact is born of lies, and lies are my kingdom. Kael's grip tightened, whispering, Then we will burn your kingdom with truth. The shapeshifter's form twisted again, this time taking on Eric's weathered face, mocking his tone. Do not trust him, the copy sneered, pointing toward the real Eric. Elara's eyes flicked with confusion. Which one is true? Eric slammed his staff, golden sparks flying. You know me by my scars, not by my face. Kael muttered, Truth is what we bleed, not what we speak. Lyra cried out, But what if we cut the wrong one? The shapeshifter leaned close, adopting Kael's voice. Then you will kill love itself. Elara clutched her chest, whispering, This test is cruel. The real Eric said firmly, Cruelty unmasks strength. Look deeper than the skin before you. Shadows curled, and the shapeshifter laughed again, faces overlapping like broken glass. Under the shapeshifter's laughter, Kael turned to Elara, voice raw. Even if every shadow wears my face, trust the fire in my hand. He lifted his glowing sword, its runes burning brighter. Elara whispered, "I see you, Kael, even in lies." Lyra muttered, "I don't see anything but nightmares." Eric's tone was steady. "Then close your eyes and listen with your heart." The shapeshifter sneered, its form bending into Dorian's scarred face. "But what if her heart belongs to me?" Elara flinched, trembling. "You twist love into chains." Kael roared, charging forward. No chain can hold what burns for her. His sword slashed, light scattering the fog, forcing the shapeshifter to recoil in fury. The shapeshifter staggered back, shadows unraveling around it. Yet Malrik's voice echoed through the fog. "Weakness wears many masks, and mercy is the cruelest." Elara cried, "He twists everything into poison." Kael shouted, "Then we must tear out his tongue of lies." Lyra's face paled, muttering, "Easier said than done when lies wear your face." Eric's staff blazed, his voice heavy. "Then let us bind him with the one thing shadows cannot mimic, light born of unity." Elara grasped Kael's hand, her voice steady despite trembling. "Then let love be the light." Kael whispered, "Together, we burn brighter." Lyra reluctantly stepped closer, touching her dagger to Kael's blade, whispering, "And even fools like me must shine." Eric raised his staff, golden fire swirling as the shapeshifter screamed in fury. The explosion of light ripped through the clearing, tearing shadows apart. The shapeshifter fell to its knees, its form collapsing into formless mist. Elara's breath shook. "Is it over?" Kael's eyes narrowed, voice grim. "Nothing ends until Malrik falls." Lyra whispered, "Then why does victory feel like a curse?" Eric's staff dimmed, his voice heavy, "Because every triumph steals a piece of us." Elara clutched Kael's hand, her whisper fierce, "Then let nothing steal what binds us." Kael pressed his forehead to hers, whispering, "Even if fate itself rages." The wind shifted, carrying distant laughter, Malrik's voice rolling across the night, mocking their unity. Lyra muttered, "Then this was never victory, only warning." The sky rumbled with storm, and the world darkened once more. The ruins glowed faintly beneath a rising dawn, ash floating in golden air. Kael gripped his sword tighter, its runes pulsing like a heartbeat. Elara whispered, "Your strength grows, but so does the chain." Kael's voice broke, "Every beat of this blade is stolen from my soul." Eric leaned heavily on his staff, warning, "If you awaken it fully, the pact will consume you." Lyra spat. "Then what's the point of fighting if winning means losing him?" Kael turned to them, eyes blazing faintly blue. "Because I swore to protect you, even if fate demands my life." Elara shook, her hands trembling as she touched his cheek. "If you die for me, you take me with you." Kael pressed his forehead to hers, whispering, "Then live with me through this until the end." The ground cracked beneath their feet, runes spreading outward like veins of fire. Eric cried out, the pact awakens inside him. Kael staggered, blue light burning from his skin. Elara screamed, "Kael, stop, it's tearing you apart." Kael roared, "This is the only way." Lyra tried to run forward, but shadows lashed up like chains, holding her back. She cursed, "Always chains, always lies." Eric's staff flared as he bellowed, "Focus, Kael, harness the bond, not the curse." Kael's body shook violently, his voice breaking, "The bond is all that keeps me alive." Elara fell to her knees, clutching his hand, whispering, "Then let me carry half of it." Kael's glow softened as he gasped, "You already do." The first decisive strike came when Kael lifted his sword and unleashed a wave of blue fire across the battlefield, shadows screaming as they burned. Lyra gasped, "Gods, he wields storms." Eric's voice thundered, "But storms devour their masters." Elara clung to Kael's arm, "Hold on to me, not the fire." Kael's eyes glowed, his voice harsh, "The fire is me." Malrik's laughter carried on the wind, mocking, "And soon, it will unmake you." Kael roared, driving his blade down, splitting the earth. The blast lit the horizon, scattering Malrik's shadow legions. Yet Kael collapsed to his knees, gasping, "It costs too much." Elara's tears fell onto his hands as she whispered, "Then let me pay it with you." The air thickened with magic, and Elara whispered, "This bond between us, it feels alive." Kael's chest heaved. "It is the only thing keeping me whole." Lyra muttered, "If love is magic, it is the cruelest curse." Arik shook his head. "No, child. It is the only power greater than fate." Kael pulled Elara close, whispering, "If I fall, remember that it was love that lit the fire." Elara cried, "No, we rise together or not at all." Kael kissed her forehead, voice trembling, "Then let us defy even the gods themselves." Lyra whispered bitterly, "And if the gods answer with death?" Eric's voice thundered, "Then death will fear them both." The battlefield quieted, the storm breaking to reveal a blood-red sunset. Kael stood weak but unbroken, his sword dimming. Elara whispered, "We survived." Lyra muttered, "For now." Arik warned, "The final path awaits, and it leads only to Malrik's throne." Kael's eyes hardened, "Then let us end this where it began." Elara's hand slipped into his, her voice steady, "We end it together." Lyra rolled her eyes, though her voice cracked, "If this is the end, I hope death likes sarcasm." Arik's staff glowed faintly. "This is no longer fate's story. It is yours to write." The horizon darkened as Malrik's fortress rose in shadow, waiting. The fortress loomed like a wound in the earth, its towers clawing at a storm-torn sky. Malrik stood at its gate, voice booming, "Come, children of love and lies." Kael gripped his sword, whispering, "This ends now." Elara's voice broke, "Then let us end it with love, not despair." Lyra muttered, "I'd prefer ending it alive." Eric's staff blazed, his voice steady, "Strength lies not in blades, but in bonds forged through fire." Malrik laughed, "Then I will shatter your bonds and you will crawl to me broken." Kael shouted, "You will never break what you cannot understand." The storm roared as the final battle began. Malrik unleashed a storm of shadows, serpents of darkness tearing across the field. Elara cried, "He brings the end with him." Kael roared, cutting through, "Then we bring the dawn." Lyra shouted, "I am too young to die in poetry." Eric's staff blazed as he bellowed, "Hold the line, children of fate." Malrik sneered, "Fate is my servant, not yours." The ground shattered as Kael and Malrik's blades clashed, blue flame against crimson fire, shaking the fortress itself. The fortress walls collapsed as Kael and Malrik's duel blazed. Elara screamed, "Kael, he will kill you." Kael's voice thundered, "Better me than you." Malrik laughed, "Love is weakness, and weakness burns." Elara raised her arms, her magic flaring blue, "Then let love burn brighter than hate." Lyra lunged, stabbing at a shadow beast, shouting, "I'll take weakness if it kills him first." Eric's staff cracked, his voice breaking, "I cannot hold this much longer." Kael roared as his blade shattered, light bursting outward. Kael staggered, his body burning with blue fire, barely holding on. Elara rushed to him, screaming, "Don't leave me." Kael whispered, "Love is worth every chain." Malrik sneered, "Then die bound to it." Eric lifted his staff with his last strength, shouting, "Now, Elara, break the pact with your heart." Elara pressed her hands to Kael's chest, crying, "I choose you, not fate." Light erupted, shattering Malrik's power, his scream echoing into nothingness. Kael collapsed into her arms, whispering, "If this is the end, then let it be in your eyes." The storm cleared, leaving silence over ruins lit by dawn's first light. Elara cradled Kael, whispering, "Stay with me." His breath shuddered, "Always." Eric whispered weakly, "The pact is broken, but its cost remains." Lyra wiped her face, muttering, "We lived, but at what price?" Kael pressed a final kiss to Elara's forehead, whispering, "Love was worth everything." His body stilled, light fading from his chest. Elara sobbed, "No, you cannot leave me." The dawn broke fully, golden light spilling over her grief. Arik whispered, "His sacrifice gave you more than life, it gave you choice." Elara lifted her head, tears glowing in sunrise, whispering, "Then I choose to remember him forever."